Hey, everybody. Welcome to Making Connections. It's your girl, Aly. I hope everybody is having an amazing day. Um, just excited about the interview today. Very excited. But I definitely wanted to take an opportunity beforehand and give a shout out to Chuck Brown. That's Chuck Brown. It's his birthday today. He's a big supporter of Making Connections. And so we hope that he partied all weekend. Well, y'all know, not partied, but he had a good time, karaoke and different things all weekend. Unfortunately, he had to work today on his birthday, but we wanted to give him a big shout out because we appreciate everything that he does for the station and for the community. So happy birthday, Chuck. And now I want to introduce you all to a wonderful, a brilliant lady that I have met recently. And I enjoy, just her presence. She's so wise and she's got so much great things going on. And it is the executive life coach, Miss Constance Howard. How are you today?
I'm great. I'm so happy to be here.
Thank
Happy to,
you.
happy to connect with you again.
Yes, I'm excited. So, since this is your first time on our show, I want to give you an opportunity just to greet our family and tell them a little bit about yourself, and then we'll jump into our interview.
Perfect. Okay. Well, I'm Constance Howard. I'm an executive life coach, and I coach women who want to make significant changes in their life, but they may not know how to start, or don't have the courage to do it, or have limiting self. Beliefs about themselves. So I come along and I don't solve the problem for them. I just kind of walk along with them. I journey with them during this time in their life to help them, kind of get clarity on what it is they want and how to get it. So that's me.
All right, all right. Well, I'm excited about that because, I know there's a lot of us who, like you said, we have dreams and aspirations, but sometimes, especially if you're the first one, maybe in your family or your community who's ever branched out to do something different, it's hard to know what the next steps are, where to
Absolutely.
go, where to connect, what
Mhm,
should I do first, So
mhm,
sometimes it's hard to prioritize, but
mhm.
that's why we always say it's good to make connections, right?
Exactly, exactly. And I also think that when you're young, you just kind of step out there. You don't really care because, God takes care of fools and babies, right? And so you just step out there, and if it doesn't work, then you go do something else. But as time goes on and you
Right.
get older and you start to have real responsibilities, and you can't run home to mom and dad, then that's when you become a little hesitant on making any kind of moves. You may be unhappy with what's going on in your life, but you're hesitant to do anything because you have responsibilities. A lot of times we have children, we have bills, we have a house. It's not that easy just to say, I'm going to chuck it all and go do something else.
And you make a very good point there because, there was that time where, you know, we just flew by the seat of our pants, whatever happened,
Mhm.
whatever we felt like that day. But you're right, as we start, building relationships with people and, like you say, having children and they have friends, it is hard to just, be like, okay, especially if you're jumping into like entrepreneurship because,
Oh my gosh, yes.
well, hello, that's totally different.
That's a
You're
totally
dependent on
different
yourself.
beast. Exactly. And, when I jumped into being an entrepreneur, people said it wasn't for the faint of heart. But again, I went through a period where I was just so successful and one thing led to another. So it did not enter my mind that it wouldn't work out, you know.
Mhm.
So,
And that's too, like you said, you have seen success before.
mhm,
So it's so many different levels. There's people who've seen success, but like for me, even like I had a little success in one area, but this was completely new for me. So I still didn't have that confidence. I was
mhm,
like, oh my gosh.
mhm.
And then like we're talking about setbacks, and the things that we've learned from those and how to overcome them. I had some setbacks with even my mindset, you
Mhm,
know.
mhm.
So I think even that kind of thing, because sometimes it's not that you don't know, it's not that you're not good enough, it's just new.
Exactly. Exactly. And I always say that we all start from someplace. No one jumps in and they're an immediate success. I listen to Pastor or Bishop T.D. Jakes, and he says that people like to see you right now, as you are now. Successful, you're doing it, you're making things happen. They don't realize that to get to that point, there was a whole lot of blood, sweat, and tears. They don't realize that because that's not what they see.
Right.
And so, it's hard for us to step out there because we're looking at other people and we're going, well, they're so successful. And again, I didn't see the 30 years, the 20 years, the 5 years, whatever it was. I didn't see all of that time and all of those tears and, all of that pain that you put into being a success.
And that's true that all the time. And even the pains, like you said, it could be um, partnering with somebody. It was a bad partnership. You went
Yes.
through some losses. There was a time where you didn't have clients or you didn't have people coming into your restaurant to eat. Like you said, we see it when we're in there and it's jam packed and we're waiting for a table. But
Right,
you can see
exactly.
those days when you're like, well, these aren't the best chairs, but we're gonna hope they, they work
We hope they hold up.
until we make a little bit
Absolutely.
money and do better. And
Hmm.
I wonder why we forget that process. Why do we think, like, even in relationships, you see somebody like, I want that, but you don't know how many fights and fusses and separations where
Yeah,
she went to her mama's, he was on the couch.
yeah.
Why do we think that because of what we see, it's just like miraculous? Why do you think
Hmm.
that is?
I think that we want to see the rainbow. We want to see the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. We want that lifestyle. And I think inside of us, we're always yearning for that, and we believe that for ourselves. And so you tend to whitewash what happened, just like you said. You tend to go, it wasn't that bad, you know, especially if you're still in that space where you're not quite where you want to be. Then you look over and you go, well, maybe I shouldn't have made that jump. Maybe I should have hung on a little bit longer, you
Mm,
but I always try to remember, how I felt during that time. I've only left my full-time corporate job for about 7 months, you
oh,
know.
okay.
And so it's always, at a time when I'm getting ready to write out my bills, right? And I'm
Oh, yeah.
thinking, mm, 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 mm. you know, but I remember, the price I had to pay for that success, the
Hmm.
cost that was involved in that success. And I don't, those thoughts go away very quickly. And I always tell my clients that's one thing you have to do. You have to look at the pros and cons, and you have to look at the cost that you're paying by not either making a decision and taking a leap of faith, or what is the cost associated with staying in that situation. And the cost is usually something intangible, right? I
Hmm.
can't see it. So I can't say to you, you're going to lose your car, boom, 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 and since you can't see it, what we try to do, I think, as women, is we try to suck it up. We try to shop it away. We try
Yes.
to saw it away. We try to nail and pedicure, manicure it away. And it doesn't go away, because there's a hole in our soul that's only going to get deeper and wider if we don't address it.
Mhm. And I like what you said though, because it's a process,
Hmm.
and you have to count. The Bible says count up the cost, right?
Yes.
So you have to realize, because when you get there and you get this setback, you
Hmm.
know, and you're like, oh, I don't have a client, or I don't have this,
Hmm.
or if I was still on this job, and you do have to compare, okay, why did I leave this job, or
Hmm.
why did I, like you said, make a change? Maybe it's to another job.
Right.
Why did I do that?
Mm.
what was I suffering through? And like you said, we'll just suffer. "Well, I should have stayed there. It wasn't that bad," like you said.
Right,
Although you were
right.
being mistreated, you're being overlooked for promotions, but it
Hmm.
wasn't that bad. Maybe I should go back.
Hmm. Hmm.
So when we hit those setbacks, it's time to do what?
Well, when you hit those setbacks, I think, first of all, what I tell my clients is this: when you're thinking about making a change, you really have to do um, a complete analysis of what it is you're looking for. You
Mm,
have to make an assessment of where you are and where you want to go, what's missing in your life, right? And then once you do that, you have to come up with a plan that is so detailed you
mm,
don't leave anything to chance. You know, you say to yourself, I'm going to be an executive life coach. And I know that there are going to be times when I'm not going to have clients come in. I
mm.
know that I'm going to be spending more money than just coming in. I know that I have to do educational things and I've got to do training and whatever it is, whatever the change is that you want to make, you need to do a really, good hard analysis of it, so that when you do make that step out, you know what to expect. This is not new. You knew from doing your research, from talking to other coaches, that there was going to be a time when you don't have a client or new clients are not coming in. So, what do you do in those situations? And, you have to get really creative in it. But I think the more planning, the more research you can do, the more settled you can become and what it is you want to do, the change you want to make, the better you are once you step out there.
You know, I should have talked to you a long time ago. But you are so right. And it's kind of like even with this show, I tell people, if you want to start a show, I can give you some tips and
Mhm,
things like that. But let me tell you what you should do first before
mhm,
you even have your first show.
mhm.
Line up some guests. There's things you need to do beforehand, which, the lady who, embarked me on this journey, I still appreciate her, but she didn't tell me those things.
Right.
So like we had our first show and it was Mother's Day weekend and I was like, "Oh, that's simple. I know lots of mothers, right?"
Right.
But then when that show was over, I was like, "Now what's the next show going to be about? What
Mhm,
are we going to do?
mhm,
How are we going to get these people?" Oh my
mhm,
God, I just like panic set in. So if you have those steps, those plans, like you said, detailed, lined
mhm,
up, this is what the show entails. This is what I have to do.
mhm.
This is what the job is going to entail. This is how it's going to change my children's lives. You know,
Exactly.
it's a lot of things
Exactly.
that we don't think about.
Yep, exactly. And again, as I tell my clients, you changing affects so many people. I can tell you that, I wanted to be a realtor at one time, and I went into that field, and I went into it at the exact time the market imploded.
Hmm.
So all of us rookies were just, we were out of luck, um, because we didn't have a Rolodex. We couldn't go back to, contractors and developers, and because we had not had the time to develop those relationships, right? And I'm not married and I don't have children. So it was naive of me to think that if something happened, it just affected me, because it didn't. It affected my sisters, who I'm very close with, who are just very concerned about me. It
Hmm.
affects anybody, your close friends. They're going to worry about you. You know, they're going to try to fix it for you. So you have to think way outside the box when you're thinking about making a move. And again, I like to say I coach women who are like me. They were professional women, who had success, but something was missing. And so, for women like us to step out there, you've got to have it pretty, wrapped up, because we're used to getting things done, you know. Well, most women are. We're used to getting things done, and we're used to being the caretakers. We're the ones who take care of everybody else. right?
Yes.
Nobody takes care of us. We don't really confide our hurts and dreams and stuff. I mean, there's just a very, very few people who know that about you, you know. What they
Hmm.
see is what you present. You know, I like to say what they see is you, the representative that you get together, you put on the makeup, and you send that representative out.
That is so true. Oh my gosh, so true. We try to take care of everybody else. We stay sometimes in situations
Yes,
to make everybody else comfortable.
exactly.
It doesn't matter how out of whack we are, how off of purpose we are, but we don't want to upset the atmosphere because what will
Absolutely.
happen?
Absolutely. And you know, here's the funny thing about that, funny but not funny, is that everybody around you knows what the real deal is. You know, you're not kidding your kids. They know what goes on in the house. You
Hmm.
know, your husband knows that you're not happy about something. You know, he can feel it, he can sense it, just like you can feel and sense it when something is really bothering him. And again, as I said, as women, we try to, you know, let me go shopping. You know, I used to say, let me go shopping and give myself a reason to head back in on Monday because I created a bill.
Right.
So, but the people around you know when you're terribly unhappy,
Yeah.
and so you know that's another thing that you know when you're doing your research, you have to take a look at what is the cost of me being unhappy, and
Mhm.
what is the cost of that on my family, on my children, you know, and
Mhm.
we don't typically look at that. We don't say, especially if we have daughters, you know, that's really critical. You don't want your daughter seeing you in a position of sadness, you know, because what does that say to her? I
Right.
knew my mom was sad, but she didn't leave, or she didn't
Right.
make a change because of ABC. So
Right.
she carries that with her when she decides to go make a change. She may
Exactly.
think my mom didn't do that, you know, so let me think twice about it.
Hmm. Now that's a very good point, because you are an example for your children.
Exactly.
And, when they see you suffer through, they're like, well,
Exactly.
mom did it. She wasn't happy every day, but she
Yeah.
stayed. She did it.
Yeah.
So I'm going to do it too.
Yeah.
And we
And I
always,
have friends who say that, you know, their moms were, you know, they pushed them out. They pushed them, you know, no, you go. And even in my own family, my sister was thinking about going to Colorado. Now we're New Yorkers. You just don't back up and go to Colorado. First of all, you know, I'm sure my mom, who had limited opportunities, was thinking, "Where's Colorado?" You know,
right.
but at one point in her life, she wanted to go to California, and her parents were absolutely against it.
Oh,
And
wow.
she never went to California, you know, to go and to live and to, you know, try to make her way. And
Mm.
that always stuck with her. And so when my sister went to her and said, I want to go to Colorado, my mother said, absolutely, with my blessing, you know. And my sister didn't have a job. You know, she was a lawyer, but she didn't have a job. And but she was attracted to Colorado, and she wanted to go there and see if she could make a living. And she was very successful there. So
Wow.
I just think about, you know, if you hold somebody back from a dream, the dream doesn't go away. You know, the
Right.
dream just festers.
Right.
It just festers.
That is so true. Oh my gosh. You remind me of a friend. She was saying that she was telling her parents when she was little, she wanted to be a pilot. And her grandmother, deterred her from that. You can't do that. Only men do that. And she was a little chunky on the chunky side. And, you have to be a certain weight. And da da da. And so, I mean, really, you never really know all the stuff that's going through people's heads and
Right.
the things that could cause a setback, even from comments like that.
Yes. Yes. And so you have to watch your words, you know, especially if you have kids. And you know, even among my friends, you know, I see that there are several of them who, you know, outwardly talk about, I would do this, but I just don't want to start over, you know.
Mhm.
And I understand that. I totally get
Mhm.
that. You know, it's as we said, it's not for the faint of heart. But what is the cost? And that's always, I always go back to that. What is the cost? You know, what if you were sitting in the same position this time next year and nothing changed? How would you feel? And if you're okay with that, you're okay with that. If you've made peace with that, you've made peace with it. But typically, what happens is that we don't make peace with it.
Right. We say we do,
Oh, yes,
but we have it on the inside.
on the inside,
It
on
still
the
keeps
inside.
us up at night.
Exactly.
We
In
still
the middle,
dream about it.
exactly. And then we watch other people soar, and
Mm,
I always said I don't want to be a shoulda, woulda, coulda person,
right,
because you watch other people go live their dream, even if they're living their dream on a lesser budget than what they had.
right.
At least they're doing their own thing, and they're determining their own destiny. And I think that's the one thing that I did not like in corporate America. You were always on the wheel, and you were always being judged. And the only way to keep people kind of in place is to make them feel like they're less than, so that you're always kind of
Right.
working really, really, really hard, and then you go, you can work really hard, and then you think, oh man, I should have worked harder. I could have done this. I could have done that, you know.
Mhm.
And so, and all the while you're killing yourself, you're really killing yourself, and you're making money for somebody else, you know.
That
So,
part.
I mean, I'm not saying that working for corporate America is like, you know, I'm not saying that. I'm saying not following your passion and your purpose
Right.
is what will kill you.
Exactly, because like you said, now some people, corporate America, that is their passion,
They love it, right?
and that's where they
I
want to
loved it.
be.
I loved it for a long time.
Hmm.
I wouldn't think of doing anything else, you know. I was from a small town in upstate New York. I mean, a small town, like 800 people.
Oh wow.
Yeah, that was a small town. It was like a little Happy Day store there, and I got a job there because my parents were big on everybody in the house works, and I got a job there. And my my mother's name was Penny, and my father's name was James, and so people would come in, and the first thing, hi, do you know Penny? If you did, I'd be like, I'm Penny's daughter, and they'd give me a bigger tip.
Hmm.
Or I'm James's daughter, I'm Jim's daughter. So, they would give me a big tip, or they, make, I want a milkshake. And that's what we did. We made milkshakes and hamburgers,
Oh
and,
cool.
make a little extra for yourself, Connie. So, um, but I wanted out of a small town, and working in corporate America gave me that opportunity to work all over the world, all over the country, and to, go places that I would never have gone if I stayed in a small town. So, there came a time when I just loved it. I was in TV news, as you know, and I
Hmm.
would work at this station, and I'd go and work at another station, and I had skills. So getting a job wasn't that difficult for me. So I'd work here and I worked there. And you know, fast forward some 30 years later, and I'm like, hold up. I don't want to pack the stuff up again. I don't want to unpack it. I don't want to, I just, the whole list of things that were just um, missing really in my life was just too long. The cost was too much. And as I said, I have sisters. And so my middle sister had a baby. Her and her husband had a son, and I didn't want to miss that time with him, you know. And I knew that I would, there'd come a time when I'd pack up to go to another city to run another TV station, and I didn't want to do that. So, I started thinking, what else can I do?
Wow.
And
That's
all things happen for a reason,
they really do.
that and when I was thinking about what else can I do, that led to the worst setback in my, life. And I wasn't expecting it, because I had never had a setback like that. When I was a realtor and the market imploded. And so I just lost everything, right? I lost everything. I had my house, my money, my car. I'm telling you, Allie, when I tell you that I lost everything, I lost everything. And oh shoot, I I don't know if I can get this. There's a picture I want to share with you just to give you a sense of how bad. Oh, here we go. Can you see it?
Okay. Uh-huh.
That was my house.
Oh wow. That's
I
the
went,
house you lost.
I went from that house to a room,
Oh wow.
to living in a room.
That's a setback. How did you come back from that setback?
That was a setback. That was
Oh.
that's a big that's a big one.
Hmm.
um, I just I licked my wounds, and I'm not going to tell you that it was easy.
Right.
Because it wasn't. I was embarrassed. I had gone from a corporate job, and I
Mhm.
made really really good money. I kept thinking it's impossible. This can't be happening to me. And I went from that house to a room, and I went from six figures to 750 an hour, folding towels in a gym. Right,
Wow.
my have the mighty fallen.
Hmm.
Right? That's a huge setback. Um, I think probably a year, maybe a little bit more. I had to go back to TV news, and I went I went back to a station I had started at.
Mm.
Like I had,
Yeah.
I went from Ames, Iowa to Des Moines to, how you progress on and on and on.
Hmm.
And I had to go back to like station three or whatever. They were looking for an executive producer. And so I went back there, and I put my head down and just did what women do all the time. We put our head down, we work, and we suck it up and keep it moving, right?
Right.
Um, but let me tell you what I learned in that situation.
Yes, please.
I learned, no, number one, I am a Christian, and so I learned a lot about faith. You
Hmm.
know, He doesn't promise you that you're never going to have a problem. He just promises to be with you. And there were times when I got to tell you, there were times when I was just absolutely furious with God, but I never lost it. Like Allie, I would wake up and I'd say, I'm not going to church today. I'm just not going. And then I find myself sitting in church. Been there, done that. Hmm.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
I'd be like, I'm not talking to you. Please do not talk to me because I do not want to hear it.
Exactly. Exactly. You know, one of these, yeah.
Exactly. And
Um,
you know everything. You know what I'm feeling. So you back off.
but all that stuff that he tells you, that I'll never leave you and never forsake you, that's so true.
Right.
And he protected me, but he also showed me that um, I was resilient. My resiliency, was very, very strong. I could come back. Um, he tells you not to lay your treasures up in money and in things, right? Well, all my things were gone. And the people who were my friends and my family loved me no matter what, you know. So they refused to allow me to kind of wallow, They made a joke out of it, Like they'd call me and go, "Well, how's your 750?" And I'd be like, seriously? Too
Get out of
soon.
here.
Too
You go in the
soon.
corner with him.
Um, and as I said, my sister had a little boy, Zachary, and Zachary was too young to even understand or care. You know how children are. They don't, play with me.
Yeah.
Well, I had time to play. I had time to get to know him. And so I learned about a lot about my faith. I learned a lot about resiliency. I learned a lot about who loves you and why they love you.
Mhm.
And I learned that, material things are great to have, but do not put your confidence and your faith in the things that you have, right? If there's something much deeper inside of you that's way more valuable than you will ever know until you are tested, right? So when women come to me and they say, like, I can't leave because I don't want to, I got this bill and that bill, I I don't tell them this, but I, weave them to what it is that's really important in their life.
Right, right. I mean, and these are the stories we need to hear. This is real life. This is truth.
Oh,
That was a beautiful house. And to go from that entire house to a room, that had to be like a kick in the gut. You know what I'm saying? I understand that feeling. You know my story that I told when we were in King of
yeah.
Prussia. Hey, I got kicked out of a place, right? And
Hmm.
I'm like, how did this happen to me? You know,
Right.
I
Right.
mean, I make decent money. I always help people, but where was the help when I needed it?
Right.
And
Right.
so you do find it, and that's a setback. You're like, where's everybody that I helped rescue?
Yeah. And also, it changes how you look at people. Like I
Hmm.
look at people totally different now. I don't, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that every person I see on the street I give money to because that's not true. But I know that there's a story there
Right, right.
that, most times would blow you away, you know.
Hmm.
It's a very fine line between getting knocked down and then getting back up, because that getting back up is hard, I could tell you. I just wanted to go to that 750 job, fold those towels and come home, you know
Hmm.
but the stuff that's in you never leaves you. It just never leaves you. Like I said earlier, my parents were just very, very big on a work ethic, and at the time, boy, I'm dating myself, but at the time, and I don't even know if this is true now, at 14 you could get your working license.
Hmm.
Is that still true?
I don't know. Look, I'm dating myself too. I don't know. I think it was like 14 and a half or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, you had to have you couldn't just pop up and go work. You had to have a license. And
Yeah.
so,
Or not.
yeah, and so when I turned, they were like, happy birthday, Connie, come back with a job. you know Everybody come back with a job. And I did. I worked in that little Happy Days kind of store. And
Hmm.
so that never left me, and at this little gym, I was the best towel folder they had, you know? And because I just wanted to be anonymous, they would say, can you do this? And I'd go do that, with no problem, and I was an older worker, so you didn't have to tell me, could you come to work on time?
Right.
They didn't have to
Right.
go through that, so they really liked me. Um, and I still have friends there, Um, but I was reluctant to open up. This is probably the first time I've ever really told the story because it was just embarrassing to me. But let me tell you, when they say there's beauty in your scars,
Hmm.
there's beauty in your scars. And your scars are there to help somebody else, you know? So if
Yeah.
your story, my story, can say to another woman, you're going to be all right. You're going to be all right.
Yep.
There's a way for you to change.
Yeah.
um then that's valuable. And when I wanted, so I worked in Rochester for probably, I want to say 1 or 2 years, and then I got the job to work in Washington, D.C. So I had really clawed my way back in terms of like the whole, like the scheme of things in TV, like where do you start and that sort of stuff. So I had clawed my way back. So when it came time to launching the coaching business, you know, there was, little Connie was on my shoulder saying, now don't leave this corporate job. That's the last thing you want to do. And I got to tell you, Allie, I heard a sermon from Bishop Jakes again, and it was all about sometimes God wants you to take a leap of faith. and step out there and not wait for him to, line everything up. And I remember saying, woo, Lord, I hope that message, I hope that message lands on whoever it's for. Because, Lord, then you know that that can't be me. But
That's good.
Allie, I was typically a church girl. But Lord, I pray for
You're
whoever
not talking to me.
to receive that message. I just hope and pray that they receive that message. But I know you're not talking to me.
Oh my gosh, I'm laughing so hard because I have been there. I know what you're saying. I was like, oh,
Yeah.
did y'all hear what he said? Y'all pay attention.
Basically.
And then somebody like, what did you hear out of it? I was like, well,
Mm.
did y'all need to?
Yep, that was totally me. And I was just like, and it stayed with me. You know how it'd
Oh
be. I
yeah.
would be like, well, let me tell her again. And I remember just praying about it because this really is my passion. And I remember praying about it. And the conversations we have with God, it's like, uh, um, uh, on this one day, I was at a stoplight and I was just letting God have it. I'm sure he was thinking, oh my goodness, my parents have passed. I'm sure he was saying, Penny, this girl. I was at the parking lot saying things like, Gideon asked you for a sign and you gave him a sign. You gave him 15 signs. I'm just asking you for one sign on what I should do, you know? And I just don't understand this. And a peace, now this is a Wednesday, and really a peace came over me. And I knew what I had to do. I knew what I had to do. And that Friday, I turned in my letter of resignation. But I got to tell you, that get me there. And it was probably, I want to say about 3 weeks. I had said to my a very dear girlfriend of mine, you're never gonna believe what Jake's preached about, because I knew it was for me, but I wanted somebody else to start the conversation, So I was like, you're never gonna believe what Jake's talked about. Can you believe that, miss?
And she was like, mm-hmm.
Mhm. And I told, yeah, she was like, I believe it.
Oh my gosh. I'd say that piece was on Friday, but that Wednesday was something, right?
That Wednesday was something. And I tell people that story because I was at the parking, I was at a stoplight and I was crying and, praying. And you know how you go from please, Lord, please, I can't believe you're going to do this. You go from being, totally like, please, I would do anything if you would just, and then you get angry with it and you go, okay, forgive me for that.
Oh gosh, honey, you been living with me for last week? I mean, but you're so right. I mean, it's like okay, because I can't remember. I was trying to remember what it was. Something happened last week, and you say that prayer like, Lord, will you da 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 da,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like that happened like so quickly, and I was like. Now, see, I know you can do stuff quick like that. So why don't you? I've been asking you about this over here,
Mm-hmm.
and he's like, and have I not answered? And I've been like, well, I didn't understand. What can you say it again? Tell me one more time. My good ears.
Exactly.
Oh, but I
Exactly.
like, the concept, like you said, we're just women like all other women, trying
Mm-hmm.
to do what God has called us to do, trying to make a difference in the world, be the best
Yes.
person that we can be.
Mm-hmm.
And so, sometimes we have setbacks.
Yes.
Sometimes we have to start over.
Yes.
Sometimes it's not that the purpose is not right, but it's just maybe not the right timing. You haven't
Yes.
learned or searched, done the research to
Mhm.
profit yet or to move forward. But I try to tell everybody don't give up. Just
Yes.
tweak your plan. Do what you need to do. Stay
Yes.
consistent at moving
Yes.
forward.
Yes.
Don't think you can't do it,
Right.
but sometimes you do have to reach out for help.
Yes. And
Sometimes you have to.
there's no shame in that.
Mm-mm,
I mean, look, we're in the group, and that's all the, brilliant movement is all about, is helping each
mm-mm,
other and supporting each other, having a safe place that you could tell your story. And really, that's where I felt safe to kind of introduce the story of, my setback.
mm-mm,
And now telling it is not, I have no shame in saying it, because I think, I learned lessons from that whole time. um, and I do believe that telling the story helps somebody else.
mm-mm.
You can't start something new, do something new, try something, without failure. You're just not going. It's just That's just the way it happens.
Right.
I was listening to something the other day, and it said that little babies, when they're learning to walk, fall down all the time. They fall down. I think he said something like 17 times an hour.
Oh
And he said,
wow.
"Do you think they stop? They just keep going."
Right.
And it isn't until, we get older, when we get, like, I think he said, like, seventh grade or whatever, do you start attaching shame to not succeeding, to falling down. So
Mm-mm.
it's a learned behavior. It's a learned behavior. And you have to make sure that you don't teach that to your kids, and you don't pass that on to your, family members and your friends.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the girl who invented Spanx said her father, would say to her every day, "What did you fail at today?" Because
Mm-hmm.
he wanted her to know you're not going to win every time you start out, and you learn something every time you fall down. And that really is true. And so there's nothing to be ashamed of if you have a setback. There's absolutely nothing to be ashamed of, you know. And usually what happens is that you have a setback, and your friends, your false friends, will be right. But there's a quote by Theodore Roosevelt, and uh, they call it "Daring Greatly." And what he says is, the honor does not go to the person who stands on the sidelines and snickers and laughs, right? The honor goes to the person who gets up every single day and gets back into the ring, and he fights the good fight,
Mm-hmm.
and he tries his very best every single time. He gives it 100%. That's where the honor and the glory goes to, right? So that's what you should strive for. That's where, you win your biggest battle. And so what if you don't win by somebody else's standards? You're true to yourself. And the women I coach, one of the big things I always work with them on is defining success for themselves. Don't let somebody else define what success is for you,
Right.
because it may not be for you. Just like, for a long time, the standard of beauty was a white woman with blonde hair and blue eyes, right? That's not, someone else decided that that was the only standard of beauty.
Right. Right.
And so many women felt less than because they didn't meet that definition,
Right.
right? So at some point you have to decide, what does success look like for me? What does an extraordinary life look like for me? And that's some of the early stuff that I work with my clients on. What does that look like for you? For me, it's something else. Listen, when I was making 750 and they promoted me and gave me $8, success was like, I'm going to Cold Stone ice cream. You know,
Right. Right.
that was success.
Exactly.
I could, I could go in there and not worry about it. Um,
Mm,
so, success looks different for everybody else. Um,
absolutely.
and so you have to make those definitions and decisions for yourself.
Right. And so much. It's like, okay, what does success look like for you? Like you said, some people it's just the fact that I can take my family on a vacation
Exactly.
and know that my bills are paid when I get back.
Exactly.
Whereas before I might have, shuffled something around and didn't pay something, and then I'm coming back stressed. But this year we were able to go on vacation without the stress.
Right.
It might be the house or the car, or it might just be, a spa day, like you said, for yourself. You know,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
it might be, it's so many different things. So you
It's
have to
so
realize
many different things.
your success. Don't compare yourself to anybody else.
Yes.
What
Yes.
is it for you that
Hmm.
gives you peace,
Exactly.
that gives you joy?
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
like you were talking about, I always try to kind of relate it to sports because people are so into sports. It's the same thing. They talk about Steph Curry. He's like broken records and stuff, but he misses a lot as well.
Yes.
He doesn't get every shot.
Yes. Yes.
The
Michael
football
Jordan says
team, you
that.
might be the champion, but that doesn't mean you didn't have a game that you lost.
Yes.
But you still
Yes.
made it to the championship and you became number one, but you
Exactly.
still got beat up on that field.
Yeah. Yeah. And you shake it off. He comes off and he realizes that sometimes I'm going to lose. And I
Hmm.
think that that is the biggest, lesson that we all have to face. And whoever's snickling and giggling at your loss is not your friend. They're not the people who are in your inner circle. And I always tell women that as well. You have to have a very, very strong inner circle who
Yeah.
know you, love you, will push you when you need to be pushed, will comfort you when you need it to be comfort. And that is really critical. And those are the voices that you need to listen to. I just um, recently did a thing on compare. I don't like the word, because there's always something that ends up being lesser. And as
Okay.
women, this is. I'm gonna give you a good quote. I hope I remember it. Um, I think it's a TD Jakes quote again. No, no, no. It was, I don't know who the quote is. I'd have to look it up. But what he was saying was, you compare yourself, you compare your behind the scenes to everybody's highlight reel.
Mm,
You're looking at what they put out there, their best moments. That's their highlight reel. And you're going, well, how come I didn't have it like that? And you're comparing, it's not apples to apples. You're comparing what you know about yourself behind the scenes to something that they put out there to promote themselves. That is a losing game.
exactly. It really is. And that's what I tell people on social media. Don't worry about how many likes and followers. They don't know those people. Some of them followers are really trolls that
Right.
get on there and and talk junk about them.
Yeah.
So half of those people don't even really support them.
Yeah.
It was so funny. I was watching a commercial. I can't even remember what the commercial was about, but the lady's supposed to be in there working out, but she's eating Cheetos. But then the kids are knocking on the door. She's like, "I'll be out in a few minutes," and so she sprays herself with some mist and takes a picture and places it on social media like she's been working out. Come on, y'all! You can't believe the hype on everything.
Exactly. Exactly.
You don't
Exactly.
really know what's happening there.
Mhm. You are dating yourself. Don't believe the hype, because I know that one. But that's absolutely true. You can't believe the hype, and
Yeah.
there's so much hype out there. There's so
Well, I
much
mean,
hype.
that's what they're doing. They're out there already, so they have to make themselves look
Yeah,
good. People are just hardcore to share who they really are. Sometimes I
yeah.
think that's why a lot of people like the Tabitha Brown. Do you follow her or know her? Who she is?
No. Mm-mm.
She's a vegan lady, but I think a lot of people follow her because she's just real. She does a video in the house, the dog is barking, or the kids come in. She's like, "This is real life, y'all."
Right.
And then, she always says, "Oh God, we thank you." So she's always acknowledging God. And she's like, "I'm not going to change that.
Right.
If I lose a contract or something, that's okay. But
Then
I'm not,
that's it. Right.
God did this for me. So why would I not thank Him?"
Exactly. Exactly.
So
Exactly.
you just have to keep it real, be who you are. And I do understand sometimes it's hard to know who we are,
Mm-hmm.
especially when you've been somebody's wife or you've been somebody's mom. Everybody's looking at you as this person. They don't even hardly know your name.
Right.
But you have to do that work
Mm-hmm.
to figure out who you are.
Mm-hmm.
Where does your beauty lie? Where does like Angelo say, what do you do in your sleep?
Mm-hmm.
At first, when she asked me that, I was like, what are you talking about? I mean, I'm sleeping. I really was confused, and she was like, "No, I mean," and I was like, "Oh, what can I do this just effortless, you
Yeah.
know?"
Yeah.
And what do you do that's effortless? Bake cakes, write poetry, sing songs, um, knit, whatever it is, it's important. It's
Mm-hmm.
needed. I'm gonna
Mm-hmm.
tell you, this man in church, he's passed away now, but he used to knit and he did like toboggans. I have that toboggan to this day, and it's one of the warmest toboggans I've ever had. I love that toboggan.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
if you knit toboggans and scarves, people in New York need those things. It gets cold there.
Right. Right.
So
Right.
everybody's gift is important, right?
Exactly. Exactly. And your gift is different from my gift is different from your gift. And
Mhm.
but that doesn't make it less than or more than.
Right. Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. I love a warm neck and I don't, yes, do your thing. I
Right.
love to read poetry. It makes me feel good when I'm having a sad day. I
Mm-hmm.
love to listen to music, even if it's just instrumental. So if you make beats, make beats.
Right.
But
Exactly. Exactly. Exactly.
I love it. Well,
Yeah.
Connie, we're going to take a quick break. We know one of the other ladies at the Be Brilliant movement was Miss Daisy,
Mm-hmm.
aka Margarita,
Mm-hmm.
and she has a company, daisiesfood.com, and we're going to go to a quick break, and I was in New York, and I got to talk to her, and she brought me what? Empanada.
Empanadas.
So let's see that
Okay.
video.
Okay.
So
That was great.
let's
Yeah, I
go.
know. When I met Daisy, that was, first of all, she's such a firecracker, right? She's just
Right.
a big, big, big personality. And she's so passionate about what she does. And so I'm so happy for her success and everything that's going on with her.
hmm So she is in New Jersey. So if
Mhm.
you're in that area, reach out.
Absolutely.
Go to that website, daisiesfood.com. That was her son, and I'll just tell y'all a story. Y'all know my back's been acting crazy, trying to attack me. So Daisy had to stay out with the car because New York is parking and all that stuff. So her son was so kind. He brought everything up, and he was like waiting for me. He's like, "I'll walk with you. It's okay." And so we put everything out, and I'm telling you, listen, even if you think you don't like it, try it
Mhm.
because like
Mhm.
the vegan, the
Mhm.
chorizo tofu. I don't
Oh,
really like tofu.
right.
That empanada
Uh,
was everything. I don't really like broccoli, but the
mhm.
broccoli, it was everything. I'm telling you.
Wow.
And I couldn't do a video because I was being greedy, but it was real good. So, I just want to give her a shout out, because we are brilliant ladies. See, she does, I can't make empanadas. I don't
I
like to
know.
cook anything really.
Yeah.
But so if you want empanadas, go for Daisy. If you want help in your executive life making changes, you talk to Miss Constance, to help you along the way. If you want to interview, once you talk to Miss Constance, you figure out what you're gonna do, and you want to talk about yourself, you
Go to
talk
Miss
to
Alley.
see how all that works together. And then we have Miss Angela, who is the
Exactly.
founder of the Be
Exactly.
Brilliant movement, who
Mhm.
brings us all together.
Mhm.
See how that works,
Mhm.
y'all? So, Miss Miss Constance, I know our time is winding down, but I appreciate you. I appreciate you, just reminding us we're going to have setbacks. And
Yes.
some of them are major, kick
Yes.
in the gut type setbacks.
Mm-hmm.
But
Absolutely.
look at us. Look, now, she didn't tell you, but she's won 3 Emmys. 3, y'all. When she came back.
Yes.
Okay? That was
Yes.
after the comeback. So,
Yeah.
see, you can make it.
You
We want
could
to
definitely
encourage you.
make it. And not only that you can make it, you can thrive, and that's the most important thing, that you live a life that you love, that you enjoy, you make an impact, and you have purpose and passion. I know people hear those words all the time, and so they may not have a lot of meaning, but if you're now existing, if you're not living, then you do want a life of passion and purpose.
Amen. And I've been there. Trust me,
Yes.
I have really been there. And I
Mhm.
stayed there a while.
Mhm.
And I was just like, why am I here? I mean, they out living their life, you know what I'm saying? But
Exactly.
like you said, I even think of people differently. If I help somebody, it's really just to help. I don't expect anything in return,
Exactly.
you
Exactly.
know?
Hmm.
And I don't put my trust in them because I know I still have to take care of me, you know?
Absolutely.
And
Hmm.
so y'all, you can do it. I
Yes.
promise you. It
Yes.
may not be easy. It's gonna be some days you ain't gonna want to get up. There's
Yeah.
some days I don't want to go take my curls out my hair to come on this interview.
Hmm.
But
Hmm.
y'all want me to take my curls out my hair. But then when I get here and I'm talking to people like Miss Constance, I'm just so happy to be here.
Hmm.
So you can do it. So Constance, definitely tell them how they can reach out to you. I think we have your website up there.
Yes, my website is constancehowardllc.com. There you can see past videos that I've done. You can learn a little bit more about me. And you can also book an appointment to chat. So I have free 15-minute sessions that you can book, and no strings attached, and you can book it there, and we can set you on your road to your purpose and passion.
Yes, do that. You will be so glad you did. You'll be so, because, like she said before, and like we always say, we are putting time into somebody else to build somebody else's empire,
Absolutely.
somebody else's dream. Now it's time to put time into your dream,
Into your dream.
into
Right.
you, into your
Mhm.
family. It's time for us to start leaving a legacy.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Especially we as brown skinned people, we haven't done that. We're living for the day. We're trying to make ends meet right now today, but we have to think forward. We have to start
Exactly.
leaving a legacy for our children. We have to start imparting into our children great wisdom and strength, because they're
Mhm.
gonna make one day they're gonna have a setback,
Exactly.
but we want
Exactly.
them to know that they can come back as well. Right.
Absolutely. Yep. Yep.
All right, so you guys, we are making connections with Aly. That's me. We are here every Monday at 2 p.m. and every Saturday at 12 noon Eastern Standard Time. Go follow us on Facebook, turn on your notifications so you know when we go live with wonderful people, brilliant ladies like Miss Constance. And so I think we had our banners up there. Info at AlyciaJohnson.com is the email. Alicia, if he puts it up there, there you go.
There we go.
ALYSIA. Info at AliciaJohnson.com. Or if you want to be on the show, you go to that link, calendly.com/ making connections TV. And it'll be you up next. So, Miss Constance, thank you so much. You are
Thank
welcome
you.
anytime. You are part of the brilliant lady, the brilliant, what are we called?
Be brilliant movement.
That, that I get stuck on brilliant. And I don't know
I
what's wrong.
know. I
But it
know.
is a movement. We're trying to encourage you to be brilliant because it's already on the inside. God doesn't make any mistakes. Everything
Absolutely.
He makes is brilliant. You are
Absolutely.
beautiful. You are smart. You are stronger than you think. And you can do this.
Absolutely.
Is that not right, Miss Constance?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, thank you again, and you're welcome anytime.
Thank you. I enjoyed this.
Yes. And
Talk to
so,
you soon.
okay, so you guys know until next time, which will be Saturday at 12 noon. Until then, as always, leaving you with love, positivity, and good vibes. Have a great day, everybody. Bye, Miss Constance.
Bye.